All right, hello everybody. This is Johnny Phelps with Emergency Reporting. Today's topic is going to be Google Maps integration. Can you see my screen, Ryan?
Yep, got it.
All right, we're going to go over the different components of Google Maps in ERS and some of the best practices that both of us have learned as firemen as we went through this program. We've got Ryan Dennett with us today. He's a regional trainer with ERS. He's also a training captain at Gorham Fire Department. Been a training captain since 2003. He was a firefighter at Brunswick Fire Department since 2009, a customer of Emergency Reporting since 2010, and a trainer since 2014. My name's Johnny Phelps. I've been a regional trainer since about mid last year. I'm a training officer at Anniston Fire Department, and I've also been an ER customer since November of 2013. Different training opportunities that ERS offers. They offer regional training conferences. We also offer on-site training and, of course, online training like we're getting today. Emergency reporting experience during our regional training conferences. We do a day 1 of essentials, day 2 and 3 of integration, and lead ER all 3 days. Upcoming RTCs, we've got one coming up in Cincinnati, Ohio, June 2nd through 4th. Charlotte, North Carolina, November 3rd through 5th, and Monterey, California, December 7th through 9th. To learn more, just contact training at emergencyreporting.com to get the details on those. We want to welcome our 30 new and upgraded customers since March 5th of 2015. Where to find the latest info? On your home screen, you will see that box highlighted in this slide, usually in orange writing, and it's a hyperlink. That will take you to register for these virtual Thursdays updates to the system, and also you can go to our support button, which will lead you into the user base, where you'll find lots of useful information. Lots of videos like this is being recorded today and will be put into there that you can go find different information about certain aspects of the system you'd like to check out and learn more about. User voice. We do like to hear from you and find out what the customer is really looking for. Feedback.emergencyreporting.com, or you can go into the support button and go under user knowledge base or user voice and give us your feedback, give us your ideas. Today's objectives, we're going to go into Google Maps and the station list and show you how we export that and how you can see different cool things to look at. Same thing with hydrants. We're also going to get into the Occupancy Module and show you how Google Maps can help you there and your basic information as you're searching through the Occupancy Module. Thanks for joining us today. We're ready to get started. Today, I'm going to go into my system is how we're going to start out. You still with us, Ryan?
I am.
All right, we're going to go into my account for now. If you'd like to hit yours, let me know. To show some different things. Like I said, I've been a training officer at Anniston Fire for a few years. I've worked here for 15 years, right at 15 years. And we've been an ER customer since 2013. And I learn something new every day about this system as a user. And Google Maps is one of the neatest things about this system to me. Once you start putting data in, some of the different things you can see is pretty cool. You agree, Ryan?
It definitely is. I think that's one of my favorite areas of the system.
First thing I was going to show is the station list. If you go through your admin module, and under your drop downs you have station list. You get into that portion to put in your station as a new customer or existing customer. There's a thing up here that says Google Earth Export. If you have Google Earth on your computer, you can export this information straight into it. And it's going to open Google Earth up and pinpoint all your station locations. It works this way for all the different aspects, as in hydrants and occupancies that you can put in. You can see I've already got some of the other stuff clicked. You can zoom in, find your station locations, actually see them on a 3D map. Click on the pin, and you can get directions to here from here, just like you would on a mapping device.
Now, if any of you have had the chance to actually use the mapping within your own accounts, one of the things you will notice is that we don't actually have an overlay for the stations when you're viewing the different maps. Obviously, we have some for hydrants as well as occupancies. So if you're looking at, say, an incident, you can view the hydrant or the occupancy overlays. We don't have one for stations as of right now. And though it's a good feature, you might want that when you're trying to create a map for presentation, say, to your local government, town council, whatever it may be. This using Google Earth is another option that you have, because you can, just like Johnny did, you can go in and export that listing of all your stations, and then go out and export a list of specific incidents or whatever that you are trying to create a map of. And within Google Earth, you can show both of those layers in there. So right now, that's a workaround that would allow you to view stations with your incidents. So while you can't do it directly in the system right now, this is a very valuable tool.
Especially with ISO, this is one of those things that right here is my entire city, and you see the exact location of each station, and this is a way to map out the distance that each station has that's covered, now that ISO uses road coverage rather than just a circular 1.5 mile or 2.5 mile radius. Now we're going to get into the hydrant module. When you first load up the hydrant grid list, you're going to see a strip at the top, a taskbar at the top that has Add Hydrant, see this, download. You also have that Google Earth export. You can hit that button and export all of that, your hydrant information, into that Google Earth program that we just had pulled up. Or you can switch to map view, which is the overlay that Ryan was talking about a second ago. After that data has been put in, you're going to be able to see it. On your map. Each hydrant, as you hover over, it's going to show you the hydrant ID. You can click on it for address, flow test. You can print the information. You can go straight into the hydrant and edit it. You can go in and do a flow test, or you can make a work order off of it, and that's straight off this map. So rather than having to search through the grid, you can actually be in the map as you find it. So you can look at it right next to you, find it on the map. If you don't know the ID, work straight off of the map instead. Take the little person, it's up there by the zoom, and actually find the hydrant on the street view. if you're having issues with hydrants placement, you can actually place new hydrants through here or move hydrants on the map view as well.
Just something to keep in mind is that in order to move a hydrant, you have to be actually in that hydrant, editing that specific hydrant. Whereas you can place a new hydrant directly from this overall map view, which is a huge feature, especially if you're out at, say, adding new hydrants. You don't have a list of all the hydrants to import in your jurisdiction. So maybe you go out and you're actually doing the flow test. If you had a mobile device where you had internet access, you could actually go out here and place a new hydrant as you're out in the field.
And it's simple. You know, there's a button down at the bottom that says place new hydrant. You click on its location, put the ID that you need in there, save it, and you've added your new hydrant. Then you can go in and edit, add flow tests, and I'll take that one out in a minute. We'll go in to this hydrant. And you see it gives you all the information. You got your details, your flow tests, any maintenance or work orders that you have on that particular hydrant, and any pictures or different files you've uploaded on that particular hydrant as well. As you see, well, I should have stayed in the hydrant. As you see on that single hydrant, the system's running a little slow, Ryan. On the hydrant, you're going to see right here a picture of a map, and of course it shows up show on map. Well, there's another spot you can download this single hydrant to the Google Earth application. When you go to show on map, that's how you'll actually move this hydrant into the location it's supposed to be. Say you got moved 50 feet away from where it actually is when it was placed. You can look at it as a satellite image, zoom in. I'm going to say this hydrant should be right here. Instead, you can move this hydrant, drag it to its location, and hit OK, and it changes the placement of that hydrant. And now it's in the wrong spot, so I'm going to move it back. And you can see the hydrant underneath. I'm going to set it right on top of it. One way our guys like to verify this is to take the little man and do a street view. And I'm pretty close right there. There's my pin, and it's within 2 feet of the hydrant. Is there anything you'd like to show, Ryan, at this point with hydrants?
So with this, now we're in the grid view for the hydrants. And hopefully you're familiar with the setup that we have for the grid views. You have all your sort options up at the top. For instance, in this case, ID, service status, type. So if you had a combination of pressurized hydrants, dry hydrants, drafting sites, whatever you may have set up for the hydrants. Say we only wanted to work with our dry hydrants. We could go into the type drop down, select dry hydrants, and now it's going to repopulate this list with only dry hydrants. And as you can see in Johnny's account, they don't have types set up. It is something that I like doing, so we'll use districts as example. Instead, if you want to do a drop down there and just choose 1C. So now the list has repopulated and it's only showing the hydrants that match that specific criteria. So one of the benefits of this is now if we go up to the export to Google Earth, only the information that we have in our current search is going to show up. So this really allows us to narrow down and get the specific information that we want. And that same thing works for your CSV downloads as well. It just really helps to narrow the criteria of things that you're looking for.
By narrowing those 1,700 hydrants we have down to the 72 that are in 1C, it declutters the map a lot. We actually separate our hydrants by who's testing them. So that would be Station 1, Shift C. These are their hydrants to test. And so they use this function a good bit to narrow it down. Do you have anything different in your system that you'd like to show, Ryan?
No, I think my system's set up very, very similar to how you have yours. I don't think there's a point in necessarily taking the time to switch screens over. Those are really the things that I wanted to point out within the hydrants. There's a lot of functionality, and I'm a fan of mapping. Even outside the system, I like maps. So naturally, coming into the system, having the Google Maps integration, especially the Google Earth export capability, I find very beneficial. It helps when you're trying to present things, whether it has to be to your town council or even just taking some information back to the chief. It's very useful.
I think as an administrator, it's useful for me as well to knock the confusion down for the engine companies. Now, our engine companies do the testing for hydrants. A lot of times maps is a little easier for them than to try to search through this grid view. Especially being a newer user, and we're still trying to get all the data correct and entered correctly and clean. And so it seems like maps is just easier for them to understand and locate certain hydrants, and a little easier than looking for an ID 94 and certain, Airport Road and McWin Road. Sometimes that gets a little sketchy and difficult for them. So they'll use the map and be able to locate it quicker and easier. Anything you'd like to add?
That's all I have on hydrants, Johnny. If you want to go ahead and cover the section on using it with the occupancies, I'll go ahead and let you do that, and we'll touch on some uses within the incidents module a little bit later on.
Let's bump off into the occupancy module then. In the occupancy module, you're going to see the same thing. Just below the taskbar at the top, you've got a Google Earth export. When you look at our total occupancies, well, I do have it narrowed down at this time. Total occupancies, I believe we have around 1,800 total. Yeah, we got 1,733 total. So if I was to do a Google Earth export of all of these, it would jumble the map up a good bit. And I've already done that. So when I add those layers in and try to scroll out a little bit, it puts a lot of information on the map. So sometimes, like you said, to do an export of a certain either classification, certain area, certain district, will keep the map from getting quite as cluttered. When you start piling all that information in there, all the layers tend to cover each other up. So you may want to knock it down to either a station location, inspector or zone, narrow it down somewhere like that. You've also got your switch to map view. In your occupancy. Give it a second. There. And all your occupancies will show up on your street view, your satellite view, or your regular map view. If you're zoomed out a little ways, of course, it's going to bunch them together and tell you how many's in that general area. And then they start populating as you zoom in. They're so crunched together. The occupancies actually work very similar to the way the hydrants work. When you click on them, it's going to give you the information of that certain occupancy, give you a chance to print that information, or you can actually go straight in and edit the information of that occupancy straight off the map view. And in the same way the hydrants are, that tends to help my guys a little bit, make sure they're, especially with a vacant structure, make sure they're at the right occupancy. When you go into edit mode, it takes you into the info page, your basic info page of your occupancy. And you'll see it's got the same thing show on the map, or you can download that single occupancy straight into Google Earth, which will give you first-hand directions from your location, or directions from there to somewhere else. When you click on that little map, it also gives you that same feature that the hydrants have, to where you can move this occupancy if it's placed in the wrong position.
One of the other benefits too here, as you can see, we have the ability to go into the street view, and in this case we can see that there's a hydrant right there. If we were to exit out of the street view, when you're done there, Johnny, open there we go, we didn't talk about it when we were in the hydrants. The hydrants also have the occupancy overlay. In this case, we have the hydrants overlay. If we click on that, it's going to populate on this map hydrants within this area. And I believe in this case, the reason why you're not getting anything is that when we were doing our last bit in the hydrants module, we didn't clear out our search inquiry, and what it's doing is it's keeping that search inquiry, so we're probably only still seeing the hydrants for 1C, if I'm correct in that. But if we want to just clear that out real quick, you'll notice that when we're in an occupancy now, our hydrants should all come up.
I think I'm running just a little slow, Ryan.
All right. Yeah, just when you get a chance.
I'll pass the screen to you. Let you show. You good with that?
Yeah, that's fine if you want to do that.
Good to find you.
All right, you able to see my screen okay?
Not seen it yet. There you go. It's on.
All right. So now I'm back into the occupancies, and now here I am. As you can see, I'm in my Gorham account. If I were to bring up one of these occupancies, I go back in to my map view for this occupancy. Right now, it's only going to show this particular occupancy, and this was actually a bad occupancy to choose because we don't have any hydrants in that area. So now I've chosen this occupancy. I want to see the hydrants that are around here. As you can see, unlike Johnny's account, we don't have any current flow test data in with our hydrants, so everything shows up as yellow or untested. So in this case, what I wanted to show you was if we go in, we want to present some information. Say an insurance company is looking to see, all right, you've got hydrants within so many feet. I want to know, have a visual representation of that. What I could do is bring this up. So this is our occupancy in question, and now we can see all the closest hydrants. And again, my map's not quite as tidy as Johnny's are, because obviously we know the hydrants aren't set back here. But now you could take a screenshot of this, print it out, email it, whatever you might need to do, say to an insurance company or a business owner. So this is another kind of neat feature of how the different overlays work. The same thing goes if you were within the hydrants module, you would have the ability to see all the occupancies around. I don't feel that that's quite as useful as this particular setup here, where you're viewing hydrants for occupancies. So that's kind of an overview of the hydrants and the occupancies. As you can see, a lot of the things are very similar in the way that they work between those two modules. One of the other benefits we have is being able to integrate the maps into the incidents module. But before we go there, does anybody have any questions? Or Johnny, do you have anything else to add here within occupancies?
Well, one thing that, like you were saying with the hydrant overlay, and it's so important on a single occupancy to be able to see the hydrants around you under the fire protection systems, all this ties together and shows you the 10 closest hydrants as well. So you got so many different ways to find the information you're wanting. That's what makes this occupancy and hydrant model so good.
And just something to keep in mind right now, this within the fire protection systems tab, these 10 closest hydrants, what that's doing is that's pulling the information directly from the hydrants module, and it's the 10 hydrants that are geographically the closest. So for instance, this may be our third closest hydrant geographically, but it could actually be several roads over that don't have a direct access point. So it may not actually be one of your best hydrants for laying to. Or it could be on the other side of railroad tracks that you're never going to lay across. So just some of those things to keep in mind when you are dealing with the closest nearby hydrants in the occupancy module here. Anything else, Jenny?
No, I think that's good. I just love the way all this ties together for us. Anyway, this works out good for the new user, because there's so many different ways to find the information you're looking for when you've got the Google Maps involved in it.
And that's so true. We're firefighters. We're visual learners most of the time, and you can't get much more visual than maps. So. One of the areas where I think that the mapping excels, however, is in the incidents module. So I'm going to jump over there, show you some of the cool features that we have here and ways that you can really make this work for you. So like in the other modules, we have a couple options here. We have the export to Google Earth and the switch to map view. This map view works very similar to what we did in the other two occupancies. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is we have two other options. We have the map view of heat map, and we have pin map. So the heat map just kind of gives you a visual representation of, well, where are the majority of our calls located? So the more locations that you have a call, so in this case here, it's going to show up red. This happens to be one of our assisted living facilities, so we have a high number of calls there. If I start zooming out, you can really start to visualize where the majority of the calls actually occur. With the pin map, that's going to look very similar to what we already saw in the other two modules. As Johnny mentioned, when you have a lot of items clustered together, what it's going to do is show you what I call, the radar icon, and it just tells you how many incidents that you've had within that area. If we start zooming in, it will start breaking those apart. So now that we are pretty much, we're not zoomed in to the max yet, but we're not going to start breaking things apart anymore. You'll notice that we have still another little radar icon here showing a number 2. And what that's going to tell you is that you've had 2 incidents at that location. So I can zoom in all the way, basically to a point that's not really useful, but it's still staying as that icon with the number 2. So I know that I've had 2 incidents at that location. What I can't do right now is I can't, say, bring a pop-up up to see what those incidents have been. So if I zoom back out, I have an EMS icon here, which if I hover over it, it tells me what the call type was. And then if I click on it, it actually gives me when it was and the actual address, call type, and so some nice information about it. Like I said, unfortunately right now, where you have the multiple calls at one location, you don't have the ability to see, well, was it an EMS call or was it a fire call? So just keep that in mind. So this is very useful when you're trying to see, well, where are the bulk of my calls located. By exporting to Google Earth, you have that much more capability of, like we talked about, bringing in other layers. So we want to bring in a layer of where our stations are located. Helps us if we're looking to build a new facility. Well, are we building it where our high call volume is, or do we maybe need to reconsider where the location is? Just like the other occupancies where we could filter, you can do the same thing in the incidents. And I need to zoom out here on my screen just a second so I can bring up my advanced search tab. So within the instance, we have the ability to do advanced search and really narrow down what types of incidents we want to look for, whether it's a date range. So in this case, I want to do a date range of today, and I want to do incident types. In this case, I only want to see a range. I want to see everything that is a 100 series incident. So this is any of my fires. And I could narrow this down even more, but for right now, I'm just going to do this filter. So you see now I have 253 results. So over just over 2 year period, we have 253 incidents that are fire related. Again, it defaults to the heat maps. If you wanted to see the pin map, you could do that. Say I'm interested in just the downtown area. Now I can zoom in, and now I can bring up my hydrants overlay, see, all right, where are my hydrants in relationship to these different incidents? The same thing with occupancies. In this department, we have an occupancy in there for every structure in town. So it starts becoming a little bit cluttered. And again, as you can see, some of these aren't, exactly where they need to be. And this is all, it all comes down to the Google integration aspect. Google's plotting things where they think they should be, so it isn't necessarily always pinpoint accuracy. That's where it comes in. You have the ability to go in there, either move an occupancy or move a hydrant. That becomes very useful. And as you saw, Johnny's account's a lot neater, unfortunately, than this one. It comes down to time. So.
Well, and that's what, I'm sitting here looking at mine at the same time, and that it just takes time. It takes time and realizing that the data is important. Getting the hydrants in the right location is, if you want to use this system the way you can use it. And that's why we're trying to show this today, is how much potential there is for different avenues to find things and look at your occupancies and actually visually see where the hydrants are on a map located around your occupancies. And if you put the information in right, make sure your hydrant location's right, your hazard statistics, OVAP, all this stuff starts pulling together to really give you some good feedback. Like you said, on station placement, on station placement, on your code enforcement, on new license occupancies, just all that stuff pulls together and makes your job easier.
So one of the other benefits that I really find is using the mapping for either an after-action review or a pre-incident planning. Again, by using Google Earth, you really increase your capabilities. You're a little bit more limited within the system if you want to use it for things like that. But within Google Earth, you can actually, zoom right in. You can actually rotate things around, so you can see kind of from a different angle, possibly. So now I can say, all right, we had an incident at this building. I bring up the mapping. Like I said, just keep in mind that my hydrants aren't pinpoint right now, but I can bring this up, see exactly where my hydrants were. If we were to project this onto like a whiteboard or something, we could actually go in there and draw in where all the different trucks are. We could put in, all right, yeah, we laid from this hydrant to this truck, and actually have a great visual representation of what was done. And I think, again, I said, I love the mapping, and I think this is really one of the areas where the mapping excels within the system, is when you're dealing with incidents, because there's so much you can do. You got anything else to add, Johnny?
No, I agree. That's one thing, they do use this in our fire critiques. Just like the picture you're showing, they get zoomed in over the structure and use the hydrants and draw trucks in. Pretty much exactly what you were just saying is how they critique.
And actually, a few months back, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was towards the end of last year, a couple of our other trainers did another virtual Thursday that talked more about the export capabilities and actually working within Google Earth to do some of those things. So if that is something that you are interested in learning some more about, I would definitely suggest going into our knowledge base, checking out the webinar archives, and finding that one. So I had totally forgotten about it till right now, so I didn't have a chance to actually look it up to see what the the title and date was of that. But it is in there. It's Google Earth integration. So if this is something that you think is going to be valuable to your agency, I would definitely recommend going back and checking out that virtual Thursday webinar, because they did a great job on it. And today we just wanted to make sure that you had a good overview of what you can do within the system. So. So at this point, what do we have for questions? has anybody had any success stories of using mapping that you'd like to be able to share? Or, again, do you have any questions on what we've discussed, or maybe we didn't discuss something as thoroughly as you would have liked? If you would just go ahead and type something in there, let us know so we can answer that. At this point, I know I've covered all the hot items that I want to. Johnny, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
Not that I can think of. I think we covered everything. We did it pretty quickly, but it's like you said, go get in there and play with some of this stuff. There is plenty of really good usefulness to it. The heat maps, I think, are great. I love using the heat maps and using different time, whether it's a month or whether it's 6 months, to see where we're running the most calls at. It's a quick, good visual that sometimes is hard to see on a grid.
I'm not seeing any questions coming in yet. We'll give you just another couple minutes here. If you are in the process of typing something, that's great. So we'll just give you a couple more minutes. If not, we'll let you guys get on with your day. We definitely appreciate you folks attending. We're here to help you guys, and hopefully you've found this beneficial. Definitely keep an eye out for the other, virtual Thursdays that we've got coming up. Got some great stuff in store for you guys, some new topics, some reviews, some more common things, but hopefully things that will pique your interest and help you out in the use of the system.
Since we still have a few minutes, do you want to show them through the support where they can find this video later?
Absolutely. Great idea, Johnny. So if you aren't familiar with the knowledge base, if you go up to the top of your screen, you have the support little tab here. When we click on that, it takes you to the great overview for the support center. So you'll see the updates to any of the system trainings coming up. So you'll see the one that we had posted here. And as the other ones come up, you'll see those. But to access the webinars, if you're specifically looking at just the webinars, training videos here and the training resources are the way to go. What that does is takes you right in to the knowledge base, into the webinar archive section. So now I can come down and so we've towards the end of last year we had the Google Maps integration. I believe that's the one that I believe it was Tom and Chris had done. So check that out, and any of these other topics here that we have. We're getting a lot more in there, obviously as time goes on. So hope you'll find them beneficial. And so I didn't see any other questions coming in. We'll go ahead and end the session, and definitely thank you guys for attending. So enjoy the rest of your day and get the most out of the system.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you being here with us.
Thanks, Johnny.